Okay, chapter 2.4, multiplying mixed numbers. Basically, we have two methods that we're going to talk about today anyway. First method is using the distributive property. Okay, distributive property. And so we take a fraction times a mixed number. Let's use 3/5 times 2 and 1/5. Okay, and this is 3/5 of 2 and 1/5. So it's a little more than half. Half of 2 is around 1, so we can say this is about 1. Okay, half of 2. 3/5 is close to half. Half of 2 is 1, so that's going to be our answer. But we're going to use the distributive property. So we're going to go ahead and take 3/5 times 2 plus 1/5. We just changed 2 and 1/5 into the two different pieces of that is times 2 plus 1/5, and we just multiply times each one of those. That should work for us. Okay, so we're going to say 3/5 times 2 is the same thing as 6/5. Okay, see how that goes? 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 2 is 6 all over 5. This is kind of like two ones. If we remember that this is two ones and we multiply 3/5 times two ones, 3 times 2 is 6. 5 times 1 is 5. That's how I did that. Plus 3 times 3/5 times 1/5. 3 times 1 is 3. 5 times 5. Let's pause this for a second. That's crazy. Okay, so sorry, I paused for a second there. 3 times 1 is 3, and 5 times 5 is 25. Now, the big problem with using the distributive property, obviously, on this one is that you can't add because you don't have you don't have common denominator, so you're going to have to rewrite this. This is going to be times 5 so that we get 25 here. 6 times 5 is 30. 25ths. 5 times 5 is 25. Plus 3 25ths. So that's going to end up being 33 25ths. And this works just fine. But we need to simplify it. It's an improper fraction. 25 goes into 33 one whole time. Let's come up here, and that's 25 25ths. Plus the difference, that's equal to 1. See how these two kind of go together, they match. The difference from 25 up to 33 is 8. So 25 plus 8 is 33. So this is 1 and 8 25ths. Hopefully that makes sense. 25 is 25 25ths is 1, and 8 25ths is 8 25ths. 33 25ths is 1 and 8 25ths. Okay, let's do another one. Let's see, 2/7 times 3 and 3/4. And again, the distributive property is 2/7 times 3 plus 3/4. And remember that this 3 is kind of like 3 ones. Sometimes that helps us do it. Okay, so 2/7 times 3 ones, and then 2/7 times 3/4. This first one is 6/7, and the second one is 6/28. And we have the same issue where we have a different denominator, so we have to multiply by 4 top and bottom. This is kind of like multiplying by 1 because 4/4 is 1, so we multiplied 6/7 times 4/4. And we rewrite this as 24/7. Sorry, 28. 24/28. Can I make a 7 look like an 8? Yes, I can. Plus 6/28. Now we have a common denominator, and we get 30 28. Then we have to simplify one more time. Let's see, is there something I could have simplified earlier? Yeah, I probably could have. 6 28ths could have been simplified down to 3 14ths, and then I would have only needed to multiply this by 2. I could have written this, let me change the color. I could have written this as 3 over 14. Okay, 3 14ths is the same as 6 28ths, and then my common denominator here I would have only needed to multiply by 2. We're going to get the same answer anyway. We're going to divide by 2. So we get 15 14ths, and then I have to rewrite that as a mixed number, 1 and 1 14th. So I think that makes sense there. Yeah, yes it does. We estimated this one. No, we didn't estimate this one. This is again half. It's less than half. Half times 4 is 2, but this is much less than half, and this is less than 4, so it's going to be somewhere between 1 and 2, and we got 1 and 1 14th. Good. Okay, here comes our second method. We did the distributive property. A second method of multiplying fractions and mixed numbers has to do with changing a mixed number into an improper fraction. And you might like this one better. This is how we've done it in the past if you've been in my classroom. And this it seems to be just simpler and quicker. So you need to be able to do it both ways. The distributive property is pretty cool. It's probably my favorite property. You don't have to be able to do it that way. But I'm happy for you to do multiplication here, kind of the standard way that we've always done it in the past. Try 3 1/2 times 4 9ths. Okay, so now when we change a mixed number, let's see, changing a mixed number, let's go ahead and do that over here on the side. 3 1/2 into an improper fraction. Now I've always kind of drawn a little circle with an arrow and a little times table for the first part and a little addition for the second part. So we just take our 3 wholes and we change it into halves, and that'd be to multiply by 2, because each one pizza or one cookie or one whatever has 2 slices in it, or 2 pieces or 2 parts. So 3 times 2 is 6, but then you need to add the 1 plus the 1 left over half plus 1 all over 2, which ends up being 7 halves. So 3 1/2 is the same as 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7 halves. So it kind of goes in this little circle, 7 halves. If we did another example, if we did like 4 1/5, that would equal 21, 21 fifths, because 5 times 4 is 20, plus 1 is 21, times first plus second. We cut each of these 4 whole pizzas into 5 slices, and that's 20 slices, plus the 1 leftover slice is 21 slices. Okay, so we do it here with this problem. 3 1/2 times 4 9ths, we rewrite it as 7 halves times 4 9ths, and then we multiply. But before we multiply, I want you to notice that we can simplify before we multiply. 4 halves is the same as 2 1s. There we go. We're just going to simplify like that, and then we're going to multiply 14 9ths. 7 times 2 is 14, 1 times 9 is 9. And then rewrite it as a mixed number. 9 goes into 14 one whole time, with 5 little slices left over. What size are they? They're ninths. So 1 5 9ths is our final answer. This seems quicker, seems easier to me, but I like the distributive property, so we'll do it both ways. 5 5 sevenths. Last example, times 2 1/10. Okay, 2 and 1/10, 5 and so these are two mixed numbers. The distributive property would be tougher on this one because we'd have to split it into four things. 5 plus 5/7 times 2 plus 1/10, and we'd have to multiply 5 times 2 and 5 times 1/10, and then 5/7 times 2 and 5/7 times 1/10. We'd have to multiply all four of them together and then add them up, and then we'd come up with our total. So the distributive property doesn't make sense here. It makes more sense just to convert each one of them to an improper fraction using the method I talked about on the other page. 7 times 5 is 35, plus 5 is 40/7. 2 times 10, or 10 times 2 is 20, plus 1 is 21/10. Okay, and again we're going to simplify before we multiply. 21/7 is the same as 3 ones, right? And 40/10 is the same as 4 ones. So this ends up being a really simple problem after that. 4 times 3 is 12. 1 times 1 is 1, so we just get 12. That's awesome. I almost wish we could do more examples. That one was so cool. Okay, so I guess just get busy on your work. I'm going to draw you a little smiley face here, and we'll see what happens. And you can stop the video right now if you want, or you can just keep watching it. I have no idea where I'm going with this. This guy looks kind of scared. Let's see what happens if we give him a little nose here. He's looking over here. There's some scary thing over here, like a little mouse or something. That's little Mickey Mouse ears, and there's little whiskers, and he's got little feet. Little mouse over here scaring him to death. And so if we want to have a scared face, we'll have to go like this and give him some little cheeks. And this is his mouth, so we've got a little chin coming under here. That's right, yep. Okay, now he's getting really scary. He's kind of starting to scare me. Could he use some ears? Yes, he could. And his hair is standing straight up. Poor little guy. He's scared of that little mouse. Well, I think he's scared because he has such little arms and legs. He's going to have to run away. Okay,